After recording this week's podcast, we were informed of the sad passing of our Disney Dreamgirls podcast family member, Donald Scott. Donald joined us each week without fail on our Sunday quiz and was always able to provide a witty comment along the way. Donald had been ill for such a short time, and his passing is a great loss to his partner Paul and the rest of his family. Paul has asked that whenever you are in the theme parks and you have a Dole Whip, Donald's favourite treat, that you remember Donald fondly. So on Wednesday on our podcast and all our social media streams, we are asking for you to share a picture of a Dole Whip, whether screenshot or with you in it, in memory of our much loved friend. You are listening to the Disney Dream Girls, an unofficial Disney Theme Parks podcast, and this is show number 351 for Sunday the 14th of February 2021.
Where dreams begin.
Hello and welcome to this week's Disney Dream Girls. My name is Michelle Young, and together with my jolly good chum Jane Phipps, we are your guides to the place where dreams begin. Hey up, Jane.
Hey up, Michelle. How are you, me duck?
I'm doing all right, my lovely. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. Happy Valentine's Day. Mwah, love you.
Aww.
Miss you.
When will I see you again?
Oh, no, don't.
Well, we're going to get onto the sloppy stuff later on in the show. So we'll sort that out in prompt order, I am sure.
I'm sure.
Right, love, and we have got some Disney history.
Oh, okay.
So the first piece I've got is from the 14th of February 1929.
That's a while ago.
It is. I wasn't actually there at this time, so it's all third-hand reporting. But basically, the original Hollywood Brown Derby restaurant opened at 1624 Vine Street in California. It was originally managed by Bob Cobb. Bob Cobb. That's a really cool name, isn't it? Bob Cobb. Cobby
It
Bob.
kind of flows off the tongue, doesn't it, Bob Cobb?
Yeah. And he eventually ended up running the establishment when the owners passed away. And he actually was the creator of the famous Cobb salad.
That's where the name comes from.
Yeah. Well, I always used to think it came from cobbled together, i.e. you've looked in your fridge and put a load of stuff in a bowl.
True. That's a very British expression though, Michelle, isn't it? Cobbled together.
True. It's going to be like what my dinner's going to be like tonight. It's going to be very Bob Cobb. And then years later, the iconic restaurant became the inspiration for the version that is in our beloved Hollywood studios today.
I think you've had the pleasure of dining in, haven't you?
I've only eaten there once, and I did it in style, and I ate with an Imagineer.
See, I knew there was a special reason why I remembered you eating there.
It was absolutely fantastic, and I don't think they're offering it at the moment, but it was one of the hardest ADRs you have ever tried to get in your life. And, you know, you got a 3-4 course meal with coffee, and you were in a group of maybe 8 to 12 people, and you get to be regaled stories by the Imagineer, and it could have been from all sorts of different walks of life, of different parts of the Disney theme park company. And yeah, it was brilliant. I really enjoyed that. But the food there, I've always enjoyed. But for me, I just find the price tickets a little bit ouch.
Yeah, it is kind of high end, isn't it? But so you say, getting that ADR that you managed with the animated, that kind of makes it worthwhile, doesn't it?
Yeah, it is. So, so that's basically an anniversary of a eatery. But we also have a very special day on the 15th of February, 1899. I'm going back in time now, aren't I?
I'm going to say we're getting older and older here, Michelle.
Yeah. Lillian Marie Bounds was born in Idaho.
Okay.
Well, we all know who that is, don't we?
No.
Walt's wife.
You see, it's surnames. I'm not very good with surnames.
Now, you do remember the 2 facts that we talked about with Jim Corcus, didn't you?
Yes, the ones that she didn't want relaying into any publications and one thing or another. Those 2 facts.
Yeah, basically she didn't want anybody knowing at the time when both she and Walt were alive, that she was actually a couple of years older than Walt.
Scandalous.
I know. She didn't want to know that they had adopted a child as well.
Yeah, it's very weird, isn't it? Finding out these facts that they were so precious about, whereas today it would be like, carry on.
Yeah. Water off a duck's back. Moving forward to 1950, on the 15th of February, can you believe it was the release date of the classic Cinderella?
Wowzers, yeah. Crikey, these are proper classics now, aren't they, when you think about how old some of these films actually are.
I know, but it's such an endearing tale that it still holds the time now.
Absolutely.
One more on this day in history, and this is on the 16th of February 1904. James Franklin Baskett, an American actor, was born. He portrayed Uncle Remus in the film Song of the South, 1946.
Right.
On March 20th in 1948, he received an Academy Honorary Award for his performance as Uncle Remus.
Oh.
He was the first African-American male actor to win an Academy Award.
Wow.
Which, yeah. But unfortunately, he had really poor health during the filming of Song of the South, and as a sufferer from diabetes, he had a heart attack in 1946, shortly after the film's release, and passed away in 1948.
Oh.
At the mere age of 44, which is a very, very sad thing.
That's no age to be passing away, is it?
It isn't, no. That's it for On This Day in Disney History. I gather we've got some Walt Disney World news, lovely.
Yeah, just a couple of three bits this week. Over at Epcot now, do you remember Leave a Legacy?
I do indeed.
Those monoliths that were at the entranceway. Well, they went a while ago, and they've now started to unveil the replacements for them. So these are kind of steel panels, and they're on the outside area of the park. So as you're kind of walking towards the park, I suppose you would say. And they've kind of got like a rainbow colour scheme going across them. Very much obviously in line with the current Epcot colour scheme palette. Quite snazzy how they've done them. If you see any photos, you can see this kind of, they're not just randomly coloured. There is like a very geometric sort of pattern going on with the ones that have been installed so far. They're not all up yet. They're kind of like a work in progress. Then a slight concern I have is the fact that apparently they are, if you take into account the curb and then the panels themselves, they're about 9 foot tall. So if you're unfortunate enough that your panel that you bought many, many moons ago is at the top, I'm not quite sure how you might going to see them, because the panels themselves, if you remember, they're not overtly very big. So they've obviously repurposed them all, put them into these new panels that are sitting around the entrance there. But say some of them are quite tall. But apparently now you've got a QR code, so you can actually use a QR code to find where yours is precisely, so it will ease going in there to try and find them. But it looks very pretty. I quite like how it looks now, better than the monolithy things that I think they had before. So for Epcot.
If they made these available now and we could pay a reasonable amount, would it be something that you and the family would invest in?
I think if I was a regular attendee to Disney World, then possibly, because there was also the paving thing that they had as well at Magic Kingdom, wasn't there? Which I know a lot of those have now been taken up, because obviously pavements have changed and one thing another.
Okay, I personally wouldn't do the sort of legacy style one, but to have a paving stone, I think that for me would be quite an attractive, quirky thing, because, you know, it's your name rather than an image that could be anybody that looks like it's off a wanted poster.
Yeah, I suppose that's the only thing with the legacy panels, because they are like an etching effectively, aren't they? An etching of a photo. They leave something to be desired in the recreation because of the technique that they're using. So if you've got a particularly, you know, I mean, I know Simon will say if he's doing portraits of people, if you don't get provided with the right picture, there's no amount of drawing is going to recreate that person. You've got to have the right sort of photo to be able to recreate something in that image. So if the photos haven't been brilliant in the first place, then you've got a peculiar looking image. And of course, that captures you at the time the photo was taken. Whereas, like you say, Michelle, at least if you've got, I mean, a lot of those slabs had like the family name, and they might have had like a little saying put on there, or it might have been a date to remember, or something personal, So that would be, I think I agree with you, a nicer option to leave somewhere.
Anything else from Disney World?
Well, I've got a couple of other things. One's a bit techie, and I can provide a link to the techiness for the blog page. They've revealed the tech behind how they're creating space images for both the Star Wars Hotel the Galaxy Cruiser and the Space 220 restaurant over at Epcot. And it's very clever, it's very technical. It's all to do with lenses and a giant LED screen. And I think the idea is that rather than just seeing a flat image of, quote unquote, the night sky, spacey looking, it gives you the feeling that it goes on and on and on, that you are looking out into space rather than looking at a picture of space. There's lots of lenses and a bit of a Pepper's Ghost effect going on. And the cool thing is that because technology has come on so much in recent years, that the amount of space it takes up to do this isn't as big as they once would have done. So it means that they can actually create this effect a lot cheaper and a lot easier than they would have done in years gone by. But the screen apparently is absolutely massive that they've got to put in to give you that feeling of, I'm looking out into the depth of space. So it's going to be really cool. I'm looking forward to seeing that, because it's, what's like in my household with techie things and my husband, it's like I get to know all these things whether I want to or not. So that's going to be really cool to see how that pans out. And then my other little bit of WDW news is food, because it's Valentine's Day. They've got obviously some more little Valentine's goodies going on, and this is a really cute over at Amorette's Patisserie. It's called Love is in the Air Petite Cake. It's $20 and it's themed around up. So it's like, it's got chocolate vanilla cake. Inside there's peanut butter cream cheese mousse, strawberry jam, some milk chocolate crispy pearls, and a chocolate liqueur simple syrup. It's got blue frosting around it, and then there's fondant balloons and little clouds, and there's a heart, and inside the heart is Carl and Ellie, and then on top of the cake itself you've got a grape soda bottle cap. So it looks very cute, and it's very appropriate, and it's Carl and Ellie, and it's lovely.
Oh, that is absolutely gorgeous, and I love the fact that they're doing all these really nice little linkages and limited time experiences as well, because obviously it's aimed for Valentine's Day.
Yeah, and it comes in a nice little presentation box, and you get a little bag with it as well, Ev. So, it would be that quintessential nice romantic gift to give somebody.
Very nice indeed. I wish someone had sent me one, if only they could.
Yeah, I think it might get a bit squashed by the time it got to us, Michelle.
Yeah.
Probably a bit stale as well.
Well, over in Disneyland, I've got a couple of bits of news, because things are starting to hot up over there again. And I mean in a good way rather than a bad. And a lot of people we know have been going to Downtown Disney, and they've been a little bit disappointed that the Starbucks hasn't been opened. Well, it will be from Monday the 16th. Was it the 16th? No, it's the 15th that it will be opening up. There is a most amazing castle cookie jar that you can get, which I am so yearning for, but it literally will be in as many pieces as the cookies if I ever attempted for anybody to get it and get it shipped over here, so I just won't bother. But there's one for Walt Disney World as well, and I just think these are just beautiful, absolutely beautiful items. And there was one last year that our friend Tracy wanted from Spaceship Earth.
Yes,
and again,
I remember.
She had that issue. You just can't risk it in the UK. So, yeah. And finally, there is going to be a limited time ticketed experience at Disney California Adventure starting mid-March, and it's going to be focusing on basically you paying for a ticket to pay for the ability to buy things.
Okay. Explain.
Well, it's very cryptic, but basically it's going to be a ticketed experience where you will be having the focus on food and beverage offerings and carefully crafted entertainment. And I imagine the carefully crafted bit is going to be because it's going to have to be physically distanced.
True, yes.
But it must be quite a big scale thing because they are reporting 1,000 park employees going back to work.
Well, that's good to hear, though, isn't it?
Yeah. Already 350 other employees have returned because of the lifting of the outdoor dining at the downtown Disney restaurants. So that is all a step in the right direction. And I know our friends Tommy and Lena were at the park the other weekend and they had a wander around and enjoyed the ambience. And they did say that the lines for the eateries were quite long, especially the quick service areas. And they wandered over to buy Monsters Inc. Love that ride. And there was a very cute little WandaVision set up where you could have your picture taken.
Yes, I have seen this.
With it having the surround. So I thought that was really nice.
Yeah, it's nice that they're trying to bring a little bit of parkness into what's there at the moment, isn't it? I mean, I think I heard rumours that there's a rumour going around that they might be doing the same with Main Street that they've done with Buena Vista Street, to try and open up that side as well, just the shops and the eateries. I don't know whether that's true, but I know that would mean, again, more cast members getting, called back up and stuff. So that would be interesting to see if they can just sort of like inch their way back to a little bit of some sort of possible normality. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, we shall see in time what will happen, as I am sure they will be revealing the price of the tickets and the availability and what is going to be on offer for everybody. So, we can't release a podcast today without saying it's Valentine's Day. And to me, Disney stories in the films portray such wonderful, well-crafted romances that I think we should have a little bit of a discussion and say sort of, who are our favourite couples?
Okay.
And I'm going to start with the ultimate, in my opinion, mainly because I think for anybody it's such a well-crafted couple, that Carl and Ellie, that became childhood friends, that became sweethearts, that got married, that grew together, and then sadly, the loss of Ellie, and then Carl rediscovering a purpose in his life is such a beautiful opening to a film. That little montage of the music and the animation is just so beautifully done, and I challenge anyone to watch it without a tear coming to their eye. But for me, you add an extra layer on because as the scenes unfold, you realise that Carl and Ellie are never going to have children. And for me, I empathise so much because I was in a similar situation that, I'd had miscarriages. I ended up having to have fertility treatment, and that just puts an extra sort of, dagger in the heart and twists a little bit for the tears just to pour down and think about that. But then it goes on to the loss of a partner, and it was like, oh my word. It just goes to show that they are the ultimate, in my opinion, Disney couple, because of that relationship. They were there for each other. They grew old together to a certain point. They were friends. They had plans, and those plans, like typically with everybody, never seemed to come to fruition because there was always something that came up that meant that they had to break into that money jar and spend it on other things, because sometimes in life, your life actually is the sequence of events rather than the journey that you imagine you're going to have when you start out as a newly married couple. But that's my take. I don't know, do you agree with any of that, or does the film sort of sing to you in a different way?
No, definitely. I mean, that opening part of Up, if you don't cry, where is your heart, isn't it? I mean, it just gets you every time. I would echo exactly what you've said there, Michelle, that it is a lovely, lovely story and very poignant. A little side note, I have friends of mine who met later on in life and feel that they've both now found their best friend. and they actually call each other affectionately Carl and Ellie, which I think is really sweet. They've named the house after, it's Paradise Falls, isn't it? So yeah, they've named the house that as well. And yeah, so I must admit, any time I see anything, you know, when you're scrolling through Instagram feed and you see, I don't know, a lounge fly bag, or you see a little pin or something, the number of times I've snapped photos of anything related to Up and send it to my friend going, have you seen this? Constantly on the lookout for pop vinyls for her, because I can't remember which one it is that she's desperate to get, but I think it's a young Ellie and it's very hard to find. So whenever I see anything, I'm like, do I get it for her or don't I get it for her? So there's been a few occasions where I've literally took a fly and bought things for her, hoping that it's the right thing to get her. But yeah, so I think that couple connects with you especially if you're with somebody, and it means if you have that sort of relationship, I think you connect very closely to that.
Yeah. What about you? Have you got a couple that you'd like to discuss?
Well, I'm going to go, I'll say quirky, but not quirky, but I'm going to go Anna and Christoph.
Oh.
Yeah. You see, I kind of like this relationship because I like the classic. I'm such a softie. I'm so cliche in my romance movies. This has become very, very apparent. I kind of like the relationships that, you know, where they start off, but they don't really start off as a lovey-dovey relationship, and it's like one has to begrudgingly help the other, and it's kind of like, I'm doing this out of whatever, and they kind of just come together. But I think it kind of shows that because they kept bouncing back together all the time, that they were meant to be together. They couldn't see it almost because they were doing practical stuff, but it's actually that kind of bound them and brought them together. And then the fact that with Frozen, obviously it didn't pan out at the end, because I think that was it. We all thought, oh, it's going to be the true love of Christoph that's going to sort it all out, but it wasn't. It was a sisterly love that resolved it all. But then to see it in Frozen 2, where, spoilers, how that relationship blossomed, and seeing Christoph pluck up the courage to take it where he wanted it to go, and kept getting foiled and not be able to get out what he wanted to, and they're having the arguments and coming back together, and it's just kind of nice. And then I like Jonathan Groff, who plays Christoph as well. I think he's lovely. So I might be a little bit biased when it comes to the male part in that relationship.
I also think it's nice that Disney have crafted a relationship that is a bit quirky and a bit unusual.
With no disrespect to princes gone by, we can't all find our prince, as in, you know, the idealistic sort of picture perfect prince that was maybe perhaps predicted in years gone by. So it's quite nice to see these characters evolving, and especially the more modern films where, you know, perhaps playing around with stereotypes and, you know, accepting that life is a bit bumpy at times and we have to kind of fall in and out of love, and we have to kind of discover things about ourselves as we go through stuff. So I think it's kind of nice to see those relationships being evolving, and hopefully it means that youngsters watching them don't get too much of an idealized version of what love is about. They actually get an idea of, oh yeah, this is what happens. We don't always agree at all the times, but we kind of come back to each other, you know. Yeah,
I agree. I'm gonna go with the next one, which is a bit of a weird one, just purely because you all know that I love a bit of Snow White. But come on, guys. Prince Florian's got more lippy on than Snow White has. And
I always forget that's his name, you know.
I know. It's just a bizarre thing. But I had a really weird dream the other day, and I don't know whether it was because I was watching something on the TV, and I think it was probably from Big Bang Theory, and they were sort of talking about doing a story from a different character's point of view. And I think it was actually Sheldon, and he was in the car talking to Amy, and he was talking about, you know, Grumpy, and saying, well, you know, maybe we want to have a story where we find out why Grumpy was called Grumpy, and why Sneezy didn't visit Doc to get his sneezes cured. And I just felt, you know, Snow White has this great relationship with these 7 characters that obviously care and love for her in such a different way to obviously Prince Florian does. And I think this is something that Disney hit on really well. that it shows that love comes in many different ways, that there's the love that you can have for somebody who is a friend. And I think a lot of us right now can identify with that friend, with that person that has been there for them through this difficult year that we've had. And, you know, being able to just sort of say, you know, you are a friend, but I still love you. You're a massive part of my life. And, you know, it's great that you've got this film where Snow has these characters that she obviously loves and dotes on dearly, and they dote on her because, you know, you see them stood by the glass coffin with tears and feeling really remorseful that this beautiful, gorgeous friend of theirs has passed away or is in an everlasting sleep. So, yeah, I thought that was quite an interesting take.
Yeah, I think it is that element of love takes very many forms. It doesn't always have to be the quintessential falling in love, romantic love. You know, like you said, Michelle, at the end of the day, we all have those relationships with people that we care immensely about. And, you know, we shouldn't be afraid to tell people that we love them. And, you know, especially having gone through this past year that we've all gone through in various shapes and forms, you know, we don't know when we're going to see people again. You know, you should always leave people letting them know exactly how you feel about them, you know.
I love you, Jane.
I love you too, Michelle. Oh.
I know, I must admit, since I lost my dad, whenever I speak to my mum on the phone now, I always hang up saying, OK, Mum, love you, because you just don't know, do you? You really, truly don't. So I want to always ensure that the last words I speak to my mum on the phone is that she knows how much I love her, regardless of the fact that at times we may not always see eye to eye and that she might irritate me or annoy me, but I do love her, you know, so, yeah.
Well, yeah, we all have these relationships, don't we? Like we said before, you know, love isn't always plain sailing. There's always going to be ups and downs to it, but, you know, my dad said something to me on my wedding day about you should never go to bed angry. Aww. Which I thought was, you know, was a nice way to think about it because, you know, at the end of the day, words can be said, but you've got to check in with your heart. And, you know, if you love that person, you've got to find a way to get through it, haven't you?
Yeah. That is a bit more romantic than what advice my auntie wrote in my wedding card.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she wrote a little poet. She's a poet, but she doesn't know it. I'll share it with you now. It's very moving, Jane.
Is it?
Yeah.
Why do I think I'm not going to like this? Go on, Michelle.
At bedtime, take a tip from one who knows. Trap your nightie between your toes.
Bless her.
Yeah.
And you remembered it as well.
I know. All these years later.
How can you not forget?
I know. It probably went on for several other lines and verses that I can't remember, but that bit I always remember. I will have to find the card because I hoard things like that. I'll have it somewhere. Anyway, many eons ago, James was going to tell us about another couple that she really liked in Disney romances.
Well, obviously, this is kind of, I'm picking a very similar type, I think. So I had Anna and Kristoff, and then I've gone for Rapunzel and Flynn Rider.
I knew you were going to say Flynn Rider.
Well, he's rather dishy, isn't he, to be fair? Sorry, I'm getting distracted by the people and not the actual relationship. But
because Jane fancies a cartoon character. Let's just be honest. Yeah, let's get it out there. Jane fancies a cartoon character.
I'm not proud, love. I don't mind. I'll take whatever I can get, you know.
It's like that Jessica Rabbit thing. I'm not bad. I was just drawn that way.
Yeah, I just draw badly. But no, it's a very similar sort of relationship to Anna and Kristoff because the kind of, you know, they end up being together and helping each other. And that sort of, you know, people are pushed into something and they don't realise what the other person has got to offer them. So I kind of like that element of having those knocking heads type of relationships where in the end it all comes out and true love will conquer all. But it's not in the traditional 1930s gushy sense, but in a more modern uptake of it. And of course, Rapunzel's got the best bathrooms going, so, you know.
And come on, let's be honest, that song, I See the Light, how many people do not identify with the lyrics in that song and the sentiment behind it? It's such a powerful song that you want to feel that way about the person you are with.
Yeah, definitely. That's what it's all about, isn't it?
You know, and at the moment, let's be honest, put your hand up, guys, everybody who's listening. You all have been tempted every now and again with that pillow. Let's be honest, because we are with them 24/7 in a lot of cases, because we are all working from home, living at home. What's going out? Don't know. We don't even go out anymore, so we're here with them 24/7. And I'm sure there's some very rich divorce lawyers out there.
Yeah, I must admit there was a couple of things that we said at the beginning of the whole lockdown, was that anybody that was having an affair was going to find this really tough because they're going to get found out, or not as the case may be. I have to say, I was chatting with a very good friend, and he was saying that his partner was having to go away for a couple of days in this next coming week for some training. It turns out that his partner's actually an airline pilot who has not been able to fly planes this past year. So consequently, he said normally every year they do a training exercise because that's what you have to do to be a pilot. This year, because they've not been able to fly planes, they've had to go every 6 months for this training. And consequently, my friend was really looking forward to his partner being away for a couple of days, because obviously the last few months, 6, 12 months, whatever, he's had his partner with him 24/7. Well, because his partner's an airline pilot, he's used to him being away quite a lot. And said, you know what? He said, it sounds awful. He says, but 2 days where I can choose Netflix when going on the telly. But isn't this the fact, though, that we've all had to, over this past year, it's tested relationships and proven that, you know, how strong relationships can be. And we've all had, you know, Sam and I will say, you know, we try and go out for a walk when we're together once a day, because it's our only chance to be just Simon and I, because, you know, we've got 2 grown-up children that live at home. So it's quite nice just to find those little pockets of time where it can be just us two without anybody else being there. And I think this is what we're all having to do at the moment, isn't it? Is come up with those little solutions and accept that, you know, actually, darling, I don't want to sit and watch your programme tonight. I'm going to take myself into the other room and I'm going to watch something else, you know, and all those daft little things that we all do just to get through relationships, isn't it?
Yeah. Hence, this week's show is called The Disney Cakes and the Cuddles.
I thought you were going to say, I feel like, you know, those agony aunt columns that you used to get in the newspapers. Maybe that's what we could turn into. We could offer relationship advice, Michelle.
Oh, no, I don't want to go down that
route.
No?
Okay.
Could get very dark.
That's another podcast entirely, isn't it?
Absolutely. Right, my lovelies, we are going to finish off this show. Don't forget our show notes, DisneyDreamGirls.com, our Instagram and Twitter, @DisDreamGirls. If you want additional audio content from Jane and myself, you can find us patreon.com/DisneyDreamGirls. We also have our Disney Dream Girls podcast family and our weekly quiz that we hold on a Sunday. So please get in touch over there. But until next time, it's a goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from me.